welcome back for another episode of Trade Secrets. I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I have been wanting to bring this series back for a while now to kind of mix it in with the other content we have here on the channel. This is the show where I'm talking about those trade paperbacks and hardcovers, omnibuses, the collected editions that might actually sell for more money than you might expect. So these are things you can find, whether it be at comic shops, even bookstores, used bookstores, wherever. These are some things that, again, could be worth your time to know what you're looking at, as there are some differences between some collected editions versus others, where one might be worth something while the other may not be worth as much as you might think. So knowing the difference could mean the difference between $20 and $200. So with that all said, hopefully you enjoy this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see this week's selection of trades, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. All right, so let's get right into it with this week's selection of trade paperbacks that you should be aware of when you're out there kind of hunting, digging, or even just flipping through, boxes of trades. Albeit things that you might just want to read, some of these things are worth, again, more than you might expect. We're going to start off with Batman this time out and look at Prodigal. This is from 2019. This is a 328-page collected edition of when Dick Grayson took on the cowl after the Nightfall storyline, basically. Remember, Batman got his back broken. Dick Grayson took over after having to battle it out with Azrael. With that all said, so this storyline was collected, and the collected edition you want to be aware of, again, is the 2019 edition. This series collects all of these books from Batman to Batman Shadow of the Bat, some issues of Robin, and some issues of Detective that all were part of this Prodigal storyline. The MSRP, the initial buying price, or the manufacturer's suggested retail price of this trade paperback when it came out, was only $24.99. $25. It's not bad, right? I mean, that's kind of a standard thing for a trade. $25 seems reasonable. But had you bought one of these, or are you able to find it for that price, you might do well. Because this particular trade, this collected edition, could sell for $50 at auction, $88 here, $90 there. That's not bad. Getting 3 to 4 times the value of your trade paperback if you can find one at a good price. Listed copies of this. Now, those are ones that have sold recently over the last couple of months. But right now, listed copies, I don't know why the MSRP changed, are actually looking for way, way more. With one seeking $220 on its own, and another seeking $400 paired with a Bane collected edition as well, Troika. So with that said, these things, when they go out of print, can be very, very tough to find, and people want to pay a premium for it. But it's not just about the fact that this storyline and this collected edition is out of print. You got to be aware it's this copy, for one reason or another, depending on what issues are included, could be the reason why it's worth what it is. Because this copy, you can see, worth a few bucks. This version, also covering the same storyline from back in the 90s. Again, this was following Nightfall and following, Azrael when Azrael took over as Batman, and then Dick Grayson had to take it over after that. This 1998 version, which is only 288 pages, you don't want this one. This one came out and it was worth $16 or cost $16 at release with the MSRP. And realistically, what you can get for this one, it's only about $30 these days. So you can probably find this one discounted. Maybe you find it for $30, which again is an increase, but $30 is way off from $90. Now, that's kind of example of what I'm trying to cover here with this show, is to kind of give you examples of some trades and collected editions that, again, are worth a few bucks, and show you the difference between ones that may also be available that could easily confuse you, because you might think, oh, Prodigal, I got to get that. One Prodigal worth something, other one, not so much. It happens. It's not always the case, but it happens. Now, we're going to jump on over to Marvel real quick and check out this Punisher Epic Collection. These Epic Collections are interesting in that they are very large, very cheap to produce, and they cover a lot of ground. There are a lot of pages in this. Again, as for instance, this particular one actually is, for 2019, this is actually 480 pages in this Punisher book, and it collects Punisher's issues 11 to 25, plus a couple of annuals from back in 1987. So that's a lot of coverage, a lot of issues that you don't have to go and buy all the floppies for. But with that comes a heftier price. So you're going to get a big 480 page, tome of a comic, but this thing cost $40 when it came out because, again, it's covering a lot of ground. So $39.99 is what it cost when it was released. But as big as that price is, it returns a lot more on the aftermarket, as you can see here with copies selling. Yes, $60 on the lower end, $100 here, $150 there for this same collected edition. Meanwhile, asking prices or listed copies for this same trade collected edition are looking for $160, $225. And this is volume 3. This is the Punisher Kingpin Rules storyline. So again, it could be worth your time to know this one. And if you find it, pick it up for the price that it is, because it could return you quite a profit if you can manage to sell it and find that buyer. With that said, let's keep it rolling and see what else we got for you. And let's go check out Spidey. So we're still talking Marvel here. We're going to check out Spidey here. This is Revenge of the Green Goblin from 2017. This is a 440-page collected edition that collects all these issues here of ASM. And there's an annual in there. You got the Revenge of the Green Goblin storyline, as well as Peter Parker Spider-Man, a couple of issues there. So a nice collected hodgepodge of books all wrapped up into one and getting those 480 pages, which, just like the last book, did cost $40 to buy in. So $39.99 was the MSRP to buy this when it came out. That said, another one that could get you a nice little profit if you were managed to selling it. So here's some recent sales for this same trade paperback, unread, yada yada yada. $150, $120, $150. That's not bad. Listings for this same trade paperback are seeking that same kind of rate. Well, one is opening bid at $150 with a buy it now of $500, while other copies are asking $250 and $380 for this collected edition. Now, just because it's Revenge of the Green Goblin doesn't mean all things are created equal, because while this 2017 edition with those extra books commands this price, this edition from 2002, which is only 120 pages, does not. So it's not just the Revenge of the Green Goblin storyline, because that's really all that's covered in this one. But 120 pages, much smaller, only cost $17 when it came out. This thing, well, it doesn't even hold that value, because you could find this trade for only $10. $10 is all this one kind of goes for. So not all trades are created equal. So you have to keep that in mind. It's just like comics. You got to know the difference, and you got to know the ones that are valuable and the ones that are not, if you plan to play in this market, because you don't want to go and spend a lot of money on a trade that's, not worthless, because you can always open it up and read it, but not going to get you that return that you were hoping for. With that said, let's see where we go from here. So there we had Spidey. Well, we're going to stick with Spidey one more time, but kind of tie him in. You guys remember Invincible animated show. This book was all the rage when that season hit and we came to this crossover point. Granted, they had to swap out Spidey, but you do what you got to do. This is from 2006. This trade paperback collecting this Marvel Team Up issue, as well as a few others. So in this 120-page collection, you're getting Marvel Team Up issues 14, which is this one, through 18. Now, this only cost $14 when it came out. So $14 buy-in for this pretty small trade, relatively thin edition. Not bad. What you can get for this trade paperback, however, is pretty good, as this thing could sell for $150, $160, $165, as you can see by these recent sales through April, May, and June, the last couple of months. Listings for this same $14 trade paperback, if you can find this collected edition, well, they're asking for $145 and up to $300. There's a couple $300 asks right there for this volume 3 of the Marvel Team Up series. Again, just something worth knowing in case you stumble across this in a shop, in a bookstore, or wherever you might find trade paperbacks. Just saying, it's good information to have. With that said, and plus that cover is going to catch your eye because that comic is worth it on its own. And while that's just a trade collected edition, it's still also worth a good chunk of change. Now, we're going to shift focus over to an old indie. And we've talked about this series on a couple other shows here, the Maxx, because it's just when you dig into a topic like this in the Maxx, you see it's more than just that last issue that I brought up on last time out. Here we have trade paperback. So this is the maxed out Volume 1 from 2016, 284 pages, collecting the first dozen issues of the Maxx from that Image series back in the day. So you know that series ran 35 issues. Here's the first third. We're going to check it out. 2016 edition, maxed out edition. $30 is what this thing cost when it was on the shelf. But recent sales showed that it could sell for $135 there, or the 3-book set, $345. We'll get to the rest in a moment, but that's what I'm talking about. $135 for a trade paperback ain't bad. If you can find one and flip it. Asking prices again, $220 for this one solo, $480 for that trio of collected editions, because again, third of the series in this issue with 1 through 12. So you could probably guess where we're going to go from here. Volume 2, if you thought that. And this is also 2016, another 280 pages, sticking with maxed out, same trade, same collected edition, getting the next dozen issues. So we had 1 through 12, now we got 13 to 24. Also, a $30 book to buy in at the time with the original cost. But that $30 could return you or get you, like this sale, $345 if you can get it as part of the set. I couldn't find any individual sales of Volume 2, but we did still have that same collected set that sold. Listings, though, I did find. Not many. Just one. Also looking for $220 and that other $480 collected set. So again, big prices and not a lot of options. Also part of it, some of these things are pretty tough to find. And if you stumble on them in the wild, you might have found yourself a nice little treasure. Like the third and final volume of this series from 2016. This one only 272 pages because, well, it is an issue short. This is collecting the final 11 issues of the series, 25 to 35. So another $30 to go and buy this one off the shelf when it came out, or potentially where you're at. Copy sold. Well, again, no individual sales, but that initial 3 collected edition set, $345 for all 3. Still, if you bought all 3 for $30, that's $90 to get you $345. Good return. Listings, just like our last one, we still have that $480 set of all 3, but on its own, this one still, like the others, looking for $200 just by itself. So $200 for a trade paperback is a pretty good price, especially if you find this for cheap. I'm, again, not telling you to spend hundreds of dollars on these trades. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm saying be aware of ones that are worth money like this. So if you find it, and you find it for MSRP at $30 or less, you found yourself something good. So that's the point of why I'm trying to tell you about these things. Now, sticking with the Maxx, collecting the same books, but from a different version and a different publisher, those also could be valuable. So unlike the one earlier where I showed you, hey, not this Spidey, not that Spidey, some of these different versions can still be worth it in different, different values, different ranges. Here we have the Maxx from 2003. This is the trade that collects only the first 6 issues. So it's only 144 pages, not the 280 that we had for the one that was getting the first 12. This is only collecting the first 6 of the miniseries. And this one, again, different set, different time frame. This was back in 2003, so different publisher at the time. This cost only $18 when it came out at $17.95. But recent sales show that it could still get you well more than $18 when it could sell for $50 at a pop, or $300 if you have the full 6-volume set, because they broke the series up into 6 chunks to get you that 35 issues. So 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, and 5. With that said, this was volume 1. And to show you what listings can go for, well, listings could also ask $50 to $60, just like those individual sales. Just as an example, I'm not going through the whole run. We're not going through all 6 volumes. I just wanted to show you the beginning. And you know what? Let's kind of give you another option here and show you something else, as we have hardcovers. So this is a hardcover edition of that same Maxx run. Well, the same initial Image series from the 90s. It's collecting the same books, different version, different platform here in a hardcover edition from 2016. This is 132 pages. I'm picking this one out randomly to give you a different chunk and a different example, because I don't want to cover every single trade edition of the Maxx. That's not what I'm looking to do. But this particular hardcover only covers issues 25 through 30 of the Maxx. And then you get that final set. This hardcover would have cost you $25 when it came out. So $25 buy-in. What does it get on the market? Well, these days, this $25 book can get you $120, $120, $135. This is volume 6 of this Maxx series. Cool, right? Listings for this same trade or same hardcover, $130, $185 for this series, for this particular volume. Again, just showing you some examples how some of these can be worth quite a bit of money if you know what you're looking at. With that said, we're going to move off the Maxx now for a little bit before we start to go towards our ending here. And we're going to take a look at one of my favorites, Indiana Jones. Yes, there are some Indiana Jones comics out there. Not many, but there are some. And this is an omnibus that collects Volume 1, 352 pages from 2008. It collects all of these little miniseries they had, I believe, through Dark Horse from back in the day. There was The Fate of Atlantis, Thunder in the Orient, Indiana Jones and the Arms of Gold. So you got 3 different minis all collected here for the low, low price of $25. This omnibus is also a little bit on the smaller side. So I think it's a little shorter than an actual comic. Not quite digest size, but a little bit smaller, but pretty thick. $25 can still get you these prices: $65, $50, $180 for the pair, because there are 2 volumes of this particular series. Actually, there might be 4, but there are, for those 2 volumes there, $181, just as example sales. Listings, asking prices for this, $45 to $70 for this volume 1 of Indiana Jones. Again, as an example. Don't want to go through everything, but trying to show you some. And we have volume 2 of that same run, 2008 now, a couple years later, 384 pages, collecting another handful of minis from the Golden Fleece to the Sea Devil, Iron Phoenix, Spear of Destiny, and the Sargasso Pirates. Lot in there, lot to cover there, all for the low, low price of $25. So for $25, you got all those stories in this omnibus in volume 2. And this volume, much like the first, does well. $80, $100 on its own. There's volumes 1 and 2, plus the Further Adventures, which are different volumes. So the Further Adventures of Indiana Jones 1 and 2 were the other 2 sets. So that's why I got the 4. All 4 of those omnibuses together, $430. So again, decent returns if you could find these and sell these. And here's some asking prices again of some on the market. Looking for $60 up to $130 for this volume 2 for Indiana Jones. Now, bringing us in here near the end, I want to look at Metal Gear Solid. So here we have the omnibus for Metal Gear Solid comic books from, I think, was this through IDW? I don't think it was IDW, but 2010, 556 pages. This collects the 12 issues of Metal Gear Solid, as well as 12 issues plus the 0 issue for Metal Gear Solid Sons of Liberty. So you're getting 2 huge mini-series or maxi series collected in one huge tome of 550 plus pages. All for the low, low price of $30. So for $30, you got a huge collected edition of Metal Gear Solid stories. All of them, in fact, I believe, from the comics. Now, what is that going to get you if you have one of these or had one of these? Well, it can get you a decent chunk of change, as this particular volume can sell for $100, $150, $185 for this omnibus edition. It's a paperback, actually wood cover, really cool. And yes, it is through IDW. I thought I remembered right. But asking prices, well, those are sales. Asking prices on this thing are looking for $140, $175, $180 for this trade paperback collected edition. That's a big number for a pretty cool trade. And again, this is the type of stuff I want you to be aware of, because you might be flipping and you go, oh, Metal Gear Solid, that's pretty cool. It's a collected edition of Metal Gear Solid. I don't know much about the comics. I like the game. I wonder if this is worth anything. Well, it is. And that's what I'm trying to remind you of. So in case you stumble upon this out there, you know you stumbled into something good. So with that said, that's the idea behind this series here. That's the angle I'm going for here with Trade Secrets. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you enjoy everything we have here on the channel. I want to thank you for stopping by and for all the support. I got a few more of these planned, because there's still plenty more trade paperbacks, hardcovers, collected editions, art books, things of that nature that we can talk about and cover here on Trade Secrets. And that's kind of my plan, to kind of mix this in maybe on Tuesdays here and there with Chasing Ghosts. I may not be able to make it every week, but as often as I can, I want to get content like this to you guys, to give you information, to stock up your Rolodex of things that you are out there looking for, because I like doing this and I like talking about comics and trades. So with that all said, thanks for hanging out for a little bit, and I'll see you all later with some more content. All right.